In all of our lives, we have certain constants, activities or rituals we carry out every day that are central parts of our schedules, perhaps without us even being aware of it. This will be familiar to anyone with a dog. Our dog, Bailey, was a boxer, a prime example of the occasional failure in German engineering where the attempt to breed a fierce guard dog resulted in an animal that is excitable, playful, terrified of strangers, and really good with small children. Our first family dog was Max. She was riddled with problems, but we loved her all the same. She died of bloat back when vets still should have been able to fix that, but ours wasn't very good. My mom stayed up all night with her as she howled in agony. We didn't know if we'd get another dog after that. Sam came not too much later. I remember going to get her, rejected as a show dog because of her funny little radar ears. Eventually, she got cancer, as boxers are prone to. We put her down just a couple days before Christmas. My dad took it pretty hard, and after that we said definitely no more dogs. But a house just isn't a house without a dog in it, so we rescued Bailey not too long later. We clearly had a preferred breed. My mom even had one growing up. Now, I've been very lucky. My routine was simple. Every day I would come home after school and walk the dog. Now this meant missing out on a lot of social activities, further excluding me of the always just out of reach greater popularity I so craved. It also meant traipsing about in the cold collecting turds and doing my best to keep her from pulling me off the ice and into a body cast. That was, I guess, one part of my schedule, and another was, as previously mentioned, taking my sister to and from her other school. Anything I wanted to do was centered around these activities. Go to school, walk the dog, get my sister, back to school, get home, walk the dog, go to sleep, go to school, come back, walk the dog, go to school, another school again, pass out, walk the dog, school dog, sister dog, school dog, sleep, sister dog, school dog, school, dog, school dog, sister, sleep, school, dog. And I was starting to snap. My friends were gone, my dad moved out, I had no job. It was just the same 5 things on repeat for months on end. At least Bailey's sweet grumpy face still greeted me every day, even though she was not quite as energetic lately. And then I came home one day, and my mom told me it had taken her an hour and a half to get Bailey to come downstairs that morning. Bailey was my mom's shadow, and she couldn't bear to force her up and down the stairs, so that night she slept downstairs with her. We took her to the vet the next day, and she was more jaundiced than we thought. When I came to get them, my mother was in tears. The decision had been made. We picked my sister up early from work so we could all spend some time together. There was no sense putting it off longer than need be. We pet her and kissed her head, and tried not to spoil our last hours with senseless blubbering. After all, the dog doesn't know what's going on. All she knows is that she's tired and in pain, and we're supposed to be looking after her. We left at 4, and she was so excited to go for a ride in the car. And then in no time at all, she was laying on the table in front of me, as we stood around her, holding back tears. I've been very lucky. Most of my grandparents had died by this point, mind you, but I was never really close with either grandfather, and my Nana had had dementia. As awful as it sounds, when she died, she'd already been gone for some time. I was 22 years old, and I'd never known death. And there I was, kneeling in a cold tile room, eye to eye with Bailey. And I could hear my mom and sister say they loved her and they were there for her. And I was choking back tears as hard as I could when I felt my sister put her hand on my shoulder, and I felt what I can only describe as resentment. That she would remind me I was there with them instead of just focusing on my dog. Or that they were there at all in such a private moment, or that I was seen in such a vulnerable state. I can't explain why I felt that way, but I did. I don't know what you're supposed to feel when you watch someone die, but that was as close as I'd ever been. As the plunger came down, she was looking right at me, and I watched as the life faded from her eyes, and it was the worst I'd ever felt in my whole life. And then it was over, and we went home, and we went to our separate corners of the house, a house that felt so empty. And my mother said, no more dogs after that. Bailey was the last one, but we had heard that before. A house just isn't right without a dog in it, but that felt like it ended it for us. We'd had Bailey 9 years, which is sadly quite old for a boxer. We couldn't bear to have another one after that. But my schedule was empty. The house was empty. I felt empty. Like I'd lost everything I knew. A relationship, my grandmother, a dog, any social life I had, in just a few months, and now my routine was shattered. No more getting my sister at school, no more walking the dog, no more drawing my webcomic, no more going to class. I didn't know what I would do with myself. I was lucky. I'd had a good life. So did she. But I didn't feel lucky. I didn't really feel anything.